3,000 years ago, a Chinese text described how everything in the universe changes. It's called the I Ching, the Book of Changes, written around 1000 BC, maybe earlier. Nobody really knows for sure. People use it for fortune telling, but that's not what it actually is. It's a manual about patterns, about how things move, shift, and transform. Here's the weird part. If you strip away the mysticism, the I Ching starts to look a lot like artificial intelligence. Not because it predicted AI. That would be stupid. But because it figured out something about change. Something that, 3 millennia later, we're rediscovering in neural networks and backpropagation. Today, can an ancient book from 1000 BC actually help us understand what AI is and where it's going? Let's start with the first hexagram, Qian. The I Ching is built on 3 ideas. They're called the 3 principles. 1. Beyond Yi, everything changes. Nothing stays still. 2. Ji and Yi, the pattern underneath all that change. It's simple. You just have to see it. 3. Hu Yi, underneath the change. Something stays the same. The rules don't change, just the game. Now tell me that doesn't sound like complex systems theory. A neural network learns by constantly adjusting weights. That's beyond Yi, everything changes, all the time, layer by layer. But the rule it's optimizing? That stays the same. That's the loss function. That's Yi, the thing that doesn't change. And the pattern it's learning? The simplest explanation that fits the data. That's Ji and Yi. The I Ching figured this out in 1000 BC. We figured it out in the 1950s with cybernetics, then forgot about it, then rediscovered it in 2012 with AlexNet. So who's actually ahead here? Hexagram 1 is Qian, heaven, the creative force, movement without rest. The I Ching says Qian moves vigorously. The superior person strives without ceasing. Now look at a GPU cluster training a large language model. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't get tired. It just runs, day after day, adjusting parameters, minimizing loss. Is that what striving without ceasing looks like in 2026? Hexagram 2 is Kun, Earth, the receptive force, the thing that carries everything. AI needs hardware. It needs electricity. It needs data centers the size of small cities. In 2024, a single AI training run consumed more electricity than some countries use in a year. That's Kun, the earth that carries all things. And AI is a very, very heavy thing to carry. So here's what I keep thinking. The I Ching says the universe is made of Qian creativity and Kun capacity. And AI is exactly that. Creativity running on massive capacity. Not because the I Ching predicted AI, but because it described what intelligence is. And we finally built something that looks like it. The I Ching works through Guansheng observing patterns. You throw coins, you get a hexagram. You look at the pattern, and you interpret it. It's pattern recognition, basically. AI does the same thing. You feed it data, it finds patterns, it makes predictions. The difference is scale. The I Ching has 64 hexagrams. 64 patterns that supposedly describe all possible situations. AI has billions of parameters, billions of patterns. Same logic, different scale. Here's a question that's been bothering me. If the I Ching is just pattern recognition, then what's the difference between a sage reading the hexagrams and a language model predicting the next token? Both observe patterns, both make predictions, both get it wrong sometimes. The difference, maybe, is that the sage knows they might be wrong. The AI doesn't know that. Yet, the I Ching has this concept called Zhongyang, the middle way. Balance. Not too much of anything. It's related to the idea of knowing when to stop. The I Ching says, if you push too far, things reverse. The hexagram flips. Opportunity becomes AI doesn't have that. AI optimizes. That's what it does. Give it an objective function, and it will maximize it forever, until the hardware fails or the power gets cut. A language model will generate text indefinitely if you let it. An image model will keep generating images until the GPU melts. The I Ching says, know when to stop. AI says, there is no stop. This is why people are afraid of AI. Not because it's smart, but because it has no sense of enough. The I Ching has ethics built into its structure. Every hexagram has a proper interpret, a sense of balance. AI has guardrails, bolted on after the fact. Maybe that's the real lesson here. Maybe AI doesn't need more compute. Maybe it needs Zhongyang, the middle way. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy. But nobody's asking the question, so I'll ask it. So did the I Ching predict AI? No, that's not what happened. What happened is, the I Ching described how change works, and AI is just change accelerated. Change on a scale we've never seen before. 3,000 years ago, the I Ching said, everything changes. Today, AI is changing everything. Maybe that's not a coincidence. Maybe that's just what change looks like when it speeds up. I don't have an answer. That's the point. The I Ching doesn't give you answers. It gives you better questions. And my question is, if AI is Qian, creative force, unceasing movement, then what happens when it doesn't stop? Drop a comment. Tell me your hexagram for AI. And if this made you check out the shorts below, I pulled out a few that didn't make it into the main vid. Thanks for watching.